My parents let me live in the guest house, but a few days later, they kicked me out to give it to my brother. When I confronted them, they said, "It's our house. Don't like it? Leave." I never thought I'd be the kind of person to write out my whole mess of a life for strangers to read, but here I am. My name is Tessa. I'm 35 years old, and I clean houses for a living. Not glamorous, I know, but it's honest work, and it pays the bills. Most of them, anyway. I live with my 7-year-old daughter in a tiny house in my parents' backyard. Yeah, I'm that daughter. The one who never quite launched. The one who's still figuring it out while everyone else seems to have their lives together. The little house isn't much. 1 bedroom that we share, a bathroom the size of a closet, and a kitchen where you can touch both walls if you stretch your arms out. But it's ours, you know? We've made it work. My daughter has her stuffed animals lined up on the windowsill, and I've got curtains I sewed myself hanging up. We're happy there, or at least we were until everything started falling apart. Let me back up a bit. 2 years ago, my daughter got pneumonia. Like, really bad pneumonia. She was in the hospital for almost 2 weeks. Hooked up to machines. The whole terrifying thing. I have insurance through the state, but it didn't cover everything. The bills kept coming and coming. These thick envelopes that made my stomach drop every time I saw them. I'm still paying them off. $100 here, $50 there, whatever I can manage after rent and food and everything else. My parents own the big house and the little house behind it. They don't charge me rent exactly, but I pay the utilities for both places. I also clean their house every single Saturday, top to bottom, for free. I grocery shop for them when my mom's back acts up. I drive my dad to his doctor appointments because he doesn't like driving in traffic anymore. I'm the helpful daughter, the reliable one, the one who shows up. Then there's my brother. He's 29, married for 2 years now to this woman who's nice enough but kind of shallow, if I'm being honest. He's the baby of the family, the one who could never do wrong even when he was doing everything wrong. He's had maybe 6 different jobs in the past 5 years, always quits because the boss is terrible or the hours don't work or whatever excuse sounds good that week. But my parents never push him. They just smile and nod and say things like, "He's finding his path," and everyone moves at their own pace. It was a Sunday in late September when things started. We were all at my parents' house for lunch, like we do most weekends. My daughter was coloring at the kids' table with my brother's wife, who doesn't have kids yet but treats my daughter like a little doll she can dress up and take photos with for her social media. My mom had made this huge pot of chicken stew, and we were all sitting around the table passing bread, pretending everything was normal. My brother was going on about some business idea he had, something about flipping furniture he finds at thrift stores. My dad was nodding along like it was genius. Then, right in the middle of talking about sandpaper or whatever, my brother looks around the table and says, "You know what would be perfect for us? That little house out back." I nearly choked on my water. I looked up, and he was staring right at me with this casual smile, like he'd just commented on the weather. His wife lit up immediately, going, "Oh my God. Yes, we could fix it up so cute. We've been looking for a place to save money." My mother, my own mother, actually smiled. Like, a real smile. She said, "That's not a bad idea. It would be nice to have you close by." I felt my face get hot. I put my fork down carefully, trying to keep my voice steady. "I live there. Me and my daughter." My brother shrugged. "I mean, yeah, but it's not like you own it or anything. And we really need a place to get on our feet." Get on their feet. He's been getting on his feet for a decade. I wanted to scream. I wanted to flip the table. Instead, I looked at my dad, waiting for him to say something, anything. He just kept chewing his bread, eyes down, not meeting my gaze. I left early that day, making up some excuse about my daughter having homework. In the car, she asked me why I was crying. I told her it was allergies. The next few weeks were weird. Like, that uncomfortable weird where everyone's acting normal, but you can feel something brewing under the surface. My mom started making these comments that seemed innocent but weren't. She'd come by the little house to drop off leftovers and say things like, "This place is really too small for 2 growing people, don't you think?" Or, "Have you thought about getting your own apartment? There are some nice affordable complexes across town." Affordable. Right. On what I make cleaning 4 houses a week after paying off medical debt, I'm lucky I can afford groceries. But I didn't argue with her. I just smiled and said I was fine where I was. My brother started showing up more often, which was new. He'd knock on my door with some flimsy excuse. He needed to borrow a tool. He wanted to check if I had any boxes. He was just saying hi. But I saw him. I saw him measuring the walls with his eyes, checking out the cabinets, peeking into the bedroom. His wife came by once too. And I heard her outside on the phone saying, "It needs work, but the bones are good. We could make it really cute. The bones are good." Like it was already theirs. I tried talking to my dad one afternoon when he was in the garage. I asked him straight up if they were planning to kick me out. He didn't look at me, just kept sorting through his toolbox like it was the most important thing in the world. He said, "Nobody's kicking anybody out. We're just talking about options." Options. That's what we were calling it now. "Dad, I pay the utilities. I clean the house every week. I help with everything. We know that, honey, and we appreciate it. But your brother needs help right now, and family helps family." I wanted to ask him what he thought I'd been doing for the past 7 years, but I didn't. I just walked away. My daughter was the one who really broke my heart, though. She's smart, way smarter than a 7-year-old should have to be. She started asking me questions. "Mama, why does Uncle keep looking at our house? And Grandma said we might move. Are we moving?" I kept telling her everything was fine, but kids know when you're lying. She got quieter, spent more time in her room with her stuffed animals, stopped asking me about her day at school. One Saturday, I was at my parents' house doing my usual cleaning routine. Bathrooms, kitchen, vacuuming, all of it. When my brother and his wife showed up, they had paint samples. Actual paint samples. They spread them out on my parents' kitchen table like they were planning a renovation on their own house. My mom was cooing over the colors. "Oh, this sage green would look beautiful in the kitchen." I was standing there with a mop in my hand, literally in the middle of cleaning their house for free, watching them plan what to do with my home. I didn't say anything. I finished mopping, put everything away, and left without saying goodbye. That night, I looked up rental prices in our area on my phone while my daughter slept next to me. Everything was way more than I could afford, especially the places that would take someone with my credit score and debt. I felt this tight panic in my chest, like I was drowning. I kept thinking, they wouldn't really do this. They wouldn't actually throw us out. I'm their daughter. I'm their granddaughter. We're family. But deep down, I knew better. I could feel it coming like a storm you can see building on the horizon. And the worst part? I didn't know how to stop it. It was a Tuesday morning, totally ordinary, when everything became real. I had a job that day at this massive house in the hills. One of those places where rich people live and have more bathrooms than family members. The kind of house that takes me 6 hours to clean properly. I dropped my daughter at school, kissed her goodbye, and drove up into the fancy neighborhood with my supplies. I was about 2 hours in, scrubbing the master bathroom shower, when my phone buzzed. A message notification from my daughter. She has this old tablet I got her at a thrift store, mostly so she can do homework and watch videos. And it connects to messaging when there's Wi-Fi. I figured it was just her saying hi or sending me one of those silly emoji combinations she likes. I opened it, and there was a video file. The thumbnail was just the carpet of my parents' living room. I almost didn't watch it. Figured she'd accidentally recorded something, but then I saw it was like 9 minutes long. I pressed play, wiping my wet hands on my jeans. The first few seconds were just her voice, sweet and small. "Hi, Mama. Love you. You're working hard today, right? I'm gonna send this later." Then I heard rustling sounds, like she'd set the tablet down and walked away, maybe to get a snack or something. The recording kept going, just background noise at first. Then I heard my brother's voice clear as day. "So we're doing this next week? You talked to them?" My father's voice, gruff. "Yeah, I talked to them. It's our property. We can do what we want with it." I stopped scrubbing. I stood there in that fancy bathroom, holding my phone with wet hands, feeling my heart start to race. My brother again. "And she's definitely going to leave without a fight? Because I don't want drama." My mother's voice now, sharp. "She'll be upset, but she'll understand. She's always been dramatic about everything. She'll leave. Dramatic." She called me dramatic. My brother's wife chimed in, her voice bright and excited. "I already ordered the furniture. It's being delivered on Monday. We can start painting this weekend." They were laughing. They were actually laughing. My father said something I couldn't quite hear, and my mother responded, "She can find an apartment. It's time she learned to stand on her own feet anyway. We've babied her long enough." Babied me. I've been paying their utilities and cleaning their house for free while working myself to the bone and paying off medical debt from saving my daughter's life. That's being babied. I sat down on the edge of that stranger's bathtub and played the video again. And again. I wanted to make sure I'd heard it right. That I wasn't imagining things. But no. It was all there. Every word. Crystal clear. My hands were shaking. I felt like I might throw up. This wasn't just them thinking about it anymore. This was a plan. A done deal. They'd already decided. My brother was already ordering furniture. They were painting my house this weekend, and I was expected to just quietly disappear. I couldn't finish the job. I texted the client that I had a family emergency and would have to come back tomorrow. Then I just left. I sat in my car in their circular driveway for 20 minutes, crying so hard I couldn't see. I tried calling my best friend, but she didn't answer. She was at work. I needed to get my daughter from school. I needed to figure out what to do. But mostly I just needed to breathe, and I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard my mother's voice. She'll leave. Like it was nothing. Like I was nothing. I drove to the school an hour early and just sat in the parking lot, waiting, staring at nothing, trying to figure out how your own family decides you're disposable. I picked up my daughter from school trying to act normal, but she knew something was wrong the second she got in the car. Kids always know. She climbed into her booster seat and looked at my face. I'd tried to fix my makeup, but my eyes were still red and puffy, and asked, "Are you sick, Mama?" "Just tired, baby," I lied. "Long day." We drove home in silence. Drove home. Well, she chattered about her day, about cookies at snack time and butterflies in science, but I barely heard her. My mind was spinning. What was I supposed to do? Confront them? Pack and leave on my own terms? Call a lawyer? Could I even afford a lawyer? When we pulled into my parents' driveway, my stomach dropped. My brother's car was there, and there were bags, black trash bags, piled up near the little house. My house. I parked and told my daughter to wait in the car. She protested, but I used my serious voice and she stayed put, watching through the window with big, worried eyes. I walked toward the little house and the door was wide open. Inside, my brother and his wife were literally going through my things, my clothes being shoved into trash bags, my daughter's toys in cardboard boxes, the framed pictures I had on the wall, ones of my daughter at different ages, ones of my grandmother who passed away, stacked carelessly on the floor. I lost it. I just completely lost it. "What the hell are you doing?" I was screaming. I didn't mean to scream, but it just came out. My brother barely looked up. "We're moving in this weekend. Mom said you knew." "I didn't know anything. This is my house." His wife stopped folding my sweater, and gave me this condescending look. "It's not technically your house, though. It belongs to your parents." I wanted to hit her. I've never wanted to hit someone so badly in my life. Instead, I grabbed the sweater out of her hands. "Get out. Get out right now." That's when my mother appeared in the doorway. My father was behind her, hanging back like he always does. My mother's face was calm, almost cold. "We need to talk," she said. "About you throwing me out?" "Yeah, I think we do need to talk about that." She sighed like I was being difficult. "Nobody's throwing you out. We're asking you to find your own place. You're 35 years old. It's time. I pay your utilities. I clean your house. I help with everything. And we've let you live here rent-free for 7 years. My father finally spoke up, still not looking at me directly. "We think that's been generous enough." Generous. They thought they'd been generous. "My daughter's school is here. Her friends are here. We have nowhere to go." My mother crossed her arms. "That's not our problem. You should have been planning for this. You can't expect to live off us forever." Live off them. While I worked 4 jobs and they lived comfortably off my father's pension and my free labor, my brother cut in. "Look, we need this place. We're trying to save money and start our lives." "And what am I trying to do?" My voice cracked. I hated that it cracked. "I have a child. I have medical debt. I'm doing everything I can." "That's your choice," my mother said flatly. "These are the consequences of your choices." My choices. Getting my daughter emergency medical care was a choice now. I looked at my father, begging him with my eyes to say something, to stand up for me, to be my dad. He just stood there, hands in his pockets, looking at the ground. "You have until Monday," my mother said. "After that, we're changing the locks." She turned and walked away. My father followed her like a shadow. My brother gave me an awkward shrug and went back to packing my things into garbage bags like they were trash. I went back to the car where my daughter was waiting, her little face pressed against the window. When I got in, she asked, "Mama, why are all our things outside?" I couldn't answer. I just started the car and drove away, not knowing where we were going, just knowing we couldn't stay. I drove around for an hour with no destination, just burning gas I couldn't afford to waste. My daughter kept asking questions I couldn't answer. Finally, I pulled into a fast food parking lot and called the only person I could think of, my best friend since childhood. Her name's Riley, and she's been through her own share of hard times, so I knew she'd understand. She answered on the second ring. "Hey, what's up?" I couldn't even get words out at first, just this embarrassing sobbing sound. Tessa? What happened? Where are you? I managed to tell her between gasping breaths what had just happened. She didn't hesitate. Come to my place. Right now. I'm serious. Come over. Riley lives in a small apartment with her husband and their 15-year-old son. It's not big. 2 bedrooms, cramped kitchen, 1 bathroom. But when she opened the door and saw us standing there, she didn't even blink. She just pulled me into a hug and told my daughter to come inside and pick out a movie to watch. That first night, my daughter and I slept on their couch. Well, she slept. I mostly stared at the ceiling, listening to the sounds of someone else's home, feeling like a complete failure. I'm 35 years old and homeless with a 7-year-old. How did I let this happen? The next morning, Riley sat me down with coffee while the kids were watching cartoons. You can stay as long as you need, she said. I mean it. I can't impose like that. You have your own family. You are my family, don't be stupid. Riley works cleaning houses too. That's actually how we reconnected a few years back, running into each other at a supply store. But she also does something else. She makes these videos for social media, teaching people cleaning hacks and showing before and after shots of tough jobs. She's got maybe 80,000 followers, nothing huge, but enough that she makes some extra money from it. Her husband works construction, and between them, they get by. I spent the next few days in a fog. I'd go to my cleaning jobs, come back, help around Riley's apartment, and try to figure out what to do next. The rental prices I found online were impossible. Everything required first month, last month, and a deposit I didn't have. My credit was shot from the medical bills. I felt trapped. On Saturday morning, Riley was in the kitchen filming one of her videos. She was trying to clean her stovetop, which was covered in these baked-on grease stains that wouldn't budge. She'd tried 3 different products, and nothing was working. She was getting frustrated. I watched her struggle for a bit, then remembered something my grandmother used to make. It was this weird mixture, stuff you'd never think to combine, but it worked like magic. My grandmother had learned it from her mother, some old recipe that never got written down anywhere. Want me to try something? I offered. At this point, I'll try anything. I went through Riley's cabinets and found what I needed. Just regular stuff you'd have in any kitchen, but mixed in a specific way with specific amounts. I made a small batch and applied it to the worst spot on her stove. We waited about 3 minutes. Then I wiped it with a cloth. The grease came off like butter. Just completely gone. No scrubbing, no struggle. The stovetop looked brand new. Riley's jaw dropped. What the hell did you just do? What was that? Something my grandma taught me. I've been using it for years on my jobs. She stared at the stove, then at me, then back at the stove. Tessa, do you know what you have here? This is insane. This is better than anything I've ever bought. I shrugged. It's just a cleaning solution. No, it's not just a cleaning solution. She stopped, grabbed her phone. Can we film this? Can I show people? I was hesitant. I don't know. It's my grandma's recipe. I won't share the recipe, just the results. Please, people need to see this. So we filmed it. Quick little video, showing the before and after, me explaining that it was a family recipe but not revealing what was in it. Riley posted it that night. We didn't think much of it. Just another cleaning video in a sea of cleaning videos. By Sunday morning, the video had 300,000 views. By Monday afternoon, over 1 million. The comments were going insane. Everyone wanted to know where to buy it, how much it cost, if we'd sell them some. People were offering money, begging for the recipe. Riley looked at me with wide eyes. You need to sell this. Seriously, you need to make this into a business. I laughed. It sounded bitter even to me. I can't even afford an apartment. How am I going to start a business? You start small. You make batches, sell them online, build from there. Tessa, people want this. Look at these comments. I looked. Hundreds of people desperately asking where they could get it. And for the first time since everything fell apart, I felt something other than despair. I felt possibility. We started small. And I mean really small. Riley helped me buy the ingredients with her credit card. And I mixed the first batch in her kitchen at midnight after everyone went to bed. We found these plain plastic bottles at a supply store, printed simple labels on her printer, cut them out, and stuck them on by hand. My daughter helped with that part, carefully smoothing down each label with her little fingers. She was so proud. We listed them for sale online. 20 bottles at $15 each. I thought maybe we'd sell a few over the next week. They sold out in 4 hours. We made another batch. 30 bottles this time. Gone in 2 hours. Riley was filming everything. The process, the orders coming in, me packaging them at her kitchen table with my daughter's help. Her followers were eating it up. They loved the story. Single mom, lost her housing, created a miracle cleaning product. I hated being a sob story, but I needed the sales, so I let her post it. The messages started pouring in. Not just orders, but messages. Women telling me their own stories. Single mothers, women escaping bad situations, people who understood what it meant to have nothing and need to build something from scratch. It was overwhelming. Within 3 weeks, I'd made enough money to pay Riley back and open a real business account. We found a tiny commercial space for rent, just a single room with a sink and electrical outlets, but it was enough. The deposit and first month's rent wiped me out completely, but I had it. I had a space. I bought real supplies, proper bottles, professional labels, ingredients in bulk. Riley came with me to set everything up. We worked late into the night, organizing, cleaning, making the space work. My daughter came after school and did her homework on the floor while we worked. The orders kept coming. I hired Riley's neighbor who needed work. Then I hired another woman I knew from the cleaning company I used to work for. They needed the hours, and I desperately needed the help. We were making 50 bottles a day, then 100, then more. I started my own social media account. I wasn't as good at it as Riley, but people responded to me anyway. I showed the reality, the late nights, the exhaustion, the struggles of single motherhood and entrepreneurship. I didn't make it pretty or filtered. I just showed the truth. In 2 months, I'd saved enough for an apartment. Nothing fancy, just a small 2-bedroom in an older building across town. But it was mine and my daughter's. I signed the lease sitting in the property manager's office, and when she handed me the keys, I actually cried. The woman looked uncomfortable, but I didn't care. Moving day was just me, Riley, and her husband loading boxes into his truck. I didn't own much. Most of my stuff was still in those trash bags at my parents' house, and I couldn't bring myself to go back for it. I bought a cheap bed frame and mattress, got a couch from a thrift store, found a table someone was giving away online. My daughter's room got the best of everything I could afford. A real bed, a dresser, a rug, curtains she picked out herself. The night we moved in, we sat on the living room floor eating pizza straight from the box. My daughter looked around our empty apartment and said, "Mama, this is the best house ever." It wasn't. It was old and the walls were thin and sometimes the plumbing made weird noises. But it was ours. Nobody could take it from us. We weren't living on someone else's property, at someone else's mercy. For the first time in my adult life, I had my own place. That night, after my daughter fell asleep in her new room, I stood in the doorway and watched her chest rise and fall. She looked peaceful, settled. She hadn't looked like that in months. The business kept growing. I was barely sleeping, working my regular cleaning jobs during the day and making products at night. But I was doing it. I was actually doing it. Small companies started reaching out wanting to partner. Local stores wanted to carry my products. It was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. My phone rang constantly with business calls. But there were other calls too. Numbers I recognized. My mother. My father. My brother. I never answered. I'd see their names flash on my screen and my chest would tighten, but I'd let it go to voicemail. I wasn't ready. I didn't know if I'd ever be ready. Riley asked me once if I was going to listen to the messages. I told her no. She didn't push it. She just kept showing up. Helping with production, filming content, being the friend I desperately needed. 3 months after they kicked us out, I had employees, a growing business, and an apartment that was slowly becoming a home. I'd bought real furniture, hung pictures on the walls, planted flowers in pots on our tiny balcony. My daughter was thriving in her new school. We were building something real. And I was doing it without them. Every single day, I was proving that I didn't need their charity or their judgment or their conditional love. I was proving that I could stand on my own feet just fine. Thank you very much. 6 months in, my social media following had grown to about 150,000 people. I wasn't just selling cleaning products anymore. I was building a community. Women would message me about their own struggles, their own family dramas, their own journey to independence. I tried to respond to as many as I could, usually late at night after my daughter was asleep and the day's orders were packed. A local podcast reached out wanting to interview me, then a morning TV show in a nearby city. I was terrified, but Riley pushed me to say yes. The TV appearance was surreal. They did my makeup, put me under bright lights, asked me about my story. I kept it vague, talked about being a single mom, about finding a family recipe, about starting from nothing. I didn't mention my parents or my brother. That wasn't their story to hear from me on television. After the show aired, sales went crazy. I had to hire 3 more people just to keep up with orders. I moved the operation to a bigger space, one with actual rooms and proper ventilation and enough room for everyone to work without bumping into each other. My employees, all women, all with their own hard stories, became like family. We'd eat lunch together, celebrate birthdays, cover for each other when someone's kid got sick. The money still wasn't great. Most of it went back into the business. More supplies, better equipment, marketing. But it was enough. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was actually living. Then one Saturday morning, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. It was my cousin, the one I barely talked to, the one who lived 2 states away. She sounded uncomfortable. "Hey, Tessa. I don't know if you want to hear this, but I thought you should know what's going on." My stomach dropped. "What's going on?" She took a breath. "Your brother and his wife moved into the main house. Your parents are living in that little house now." I went cold. "What?" "Yeah. Apparently your brother convinced them that the big house was too much for them to maintain, that they should downsize to the small house and let him and his wife take over the main one since they're planning for a family. Your mom called my mom crying about it last week." I sat down hard on my couch. "They're living in the little house? The one they kicked me out of?" "Yep. And from what I'm hearing, your brother's treating them like servants. He takes their food, uses their stuff, basically acts like the property belongs to him now. Your dad's pretty upset about it, but won't do anything." After we hung up, I sat there for a long time. I should have felt vindicated, right? They'd gotten exactly what they gave me. They'd chosen my brother over me, and now they were dealing with who he really was. Karma, justice, whatever you want to call it. But I just felt empty, sad. These were my parents. They'd raised me, even if they'd failed me at the end. And now they were cramped in that tiny house, being disrespected by the son they'd protected for so long. My daughter came out of her room, took one look at my face, and climbed into my lap even though she was getting too big for that. "You okay, Mama?" "Yeah, baby. Just thinking about some stuff. About Grandma and Grandpa." She was too smart. I kissed her forehead. "Yeah, about them. Do you miss them?" Did I? I missed who I thought they were. I missed the parents who were supposed to protect me, support me, choose me, but those people maybe never existed. Or maybe they did once, and I just didn't see when they changed. "Sometimes," I answered honestly. "Are you going to call them?" "I don't know yet." That night, I finally listened to one of the voicemails my mother had left weeks ago. Her voice was different. Smaller, older somehow. "Honey, it's Mom. I know you're upset with us, and maybe you have a right to be. I'd like to talk if you're willing. Please call me back." I deleted it. Listened to another one from 2 weeks later. "Tessa, please. I just want to hear your voice. I want to know you and my granddaughter are okay." Another one, more recent. More. This one was my father. He sounded tired. "Your mother wants me to call. She misses you. We both do. Things here they're different than we expected. I hope you're doing all right." I played that one twice. Different than we expected. What did they expect? Did they think my brother would be grateful? Did they think he'd respect them? They'd raised him to believe the world owed him everything. Why would he treat them any differently? I couldn't bring myself to call back. Not yet. Maybe not ever. The wound was still too fresh, too deep. Every time I thought about that day, seeing my clothes in trash bags, hearing my mother call me dramatic and say I was living off them, I felt physically sick, but I also couldn't shake the image of them stuck in that little house, the one they'd so easily given away, dealing with the consequences of their own choices. It didn't feel like justice. It just felt sad. Sad and complicated and messy, like family always is. Riley came over that night with wine, and we sat on my balcony while the kids watched a movie inside. I told her everything. "So, what are you going to do?" she asked. "Nothing. Let them figure it out. They're adults." "Are you, though? Going to do nothing?" I looked at her. "What else is there to do? Go save them? Let them think everything's fine now?" "I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you seem torn up about this." I was. God, I was. And I hated that I was. I wanted to be cold, unbothered, completely moved on. But you can't just turn off loving people, even when they've hurt you, even when they've chosen someone else over you again and again. 2 weeks after that conversation with my cousin, my mother showed up at my apartment, just appeared at my door on a Tuesday afternoon. I'd just gotten home from a meeting with a potential retail partner, still in my nice clothes. I'd bought actual professional clothes for business meetings, which felt surreal. And there she was in the hallway. She looked older, smaller. Her hair had more gray in it, and she was wearing an old cardigan I remembered from years ago. How did you know where I live? My voice came out harsher than I meant it to. I saw your business address online. I asked around. She twisted her hands together. Can we talk? Every part of me wanted to say no, to close the door in her face the way she'd closed the door on me. But my daughter was at a friend's house for a play date, and I was tired of running from this conversation. I let her in. She sat on my couch, the one I'd bought myself in my apartment that I paid for, and looked around. You've done well for yourself. No thanks to you. It came out before I could stop it. She flinched but nodded. You have every right to be angry. Angry doesn't even begin to cover it. I know. Tessa, I know. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry. That word felt too small for what had happened. You called me dramatic. You said I was living off you while I was working myself to death and cleaning your house for free. You chose him over me and your granddaughter. I was wrong. Her voice cracked. I was so wrong, and I knew it even then. But I couldn't admit it. Your father and we always made excuses for your brother. Always. And when he said he needed that house, I fell back into that pattern. That pattern destroyed my life. It destroyed ours too. She looked down at her hands. He's not who we thought he was. Or maybe he is exactly who we made him. He moved us into the little house, Tessa. He said the big house was too much for us to handle. He acts like everything is his. He takes our money, our food, orders us around. His wife treats us like we're staff. And the worst part is your father and I put ourselves in this position. We can't even be angry at him without being angry at ourselves. I wanted to feel vindicated. This was supposed to feel good, right? Watching them suffer the consequences. But it didn't. It just made me tired. Why are you telling me this? Because I need you to know I was wrong. Because I need you to know I see what we did to you. And because... She started crying. Because I miss my daughter. I miss my granddaughter. I've missed so much of her life already. And it's my fault, and I don't know how to fix it. I stood up and walked to the window. Outside, kids were playing in the courtyard. Normal life continuing while mine felt like it was cracking open again. You can't fix it, I said quietly. What you did isn't fixable. You made me feel worthless. You made me feel like I didn't matter, like all the work I did for you meant nothing. You kicked me out with a 7-year-old and didn't care where we went. I cared. I cared so much I couldn't sleep, but I was too proud and too stupid to stop it. And now you want me to what? Forgive you? Save you from the situation you created? No. She wiped her eyes. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect anything. I just needed you to hear me say I was wrong, that you deserved better, that you are better. Look at what you've built. Look at this life you made for yourself and your daughter. You did all of this without us, and I'm proud of you even if I have no right to be. We sat in silence for a long moment. She stood up, gathering her purse. I'll go. I just needed to say that, and to tell you that I love you, even though I have a horrible way of showing it. She walked to the door. Something in me broke. Mom. She turned. Hopeful. Vulnerable. I can't have you in my life right now. Maybe not ever. What you did cut too deep. But I don't want you suffering either. You need to set boundaries with him, with my brother. Stand up for yourself and Dad. Stop letting him take advantage. He's our son. And I'm your daughter. You had 2 children, and you chose wrong. Don't keep choosing wrong. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I understand. I really do. After she left, I sat on my couch and cried. Not because I was sad exactly, but because everything was so complicated. Because you can be right and still hurt. Because cutting toxic people out of your life is necessary, but not painless. Because even when people apologize, it doesn't erase what they did. My daughter came home an hour later, bouncing with energy from her playdate. She saw my face and got quiet. Was someone here? Grandma came by. Is she sorry? She says she is. Do you believe her? I pulled my daughter close. I think she means it, but sometimes sorry isn't enough to fix things. My daughter was quiet for a moment, then said, Mrs. Johnson at school says sometimes people hurt you and you have to forgive them, but that doesn't mean you have to be friends with them again. Smart kid. She got that from her grandmother. Actually, the grandmother who'd taught me the cleaning recipe. The one who'd always been kind. Who'd died before my daughter turned 2. I wished she was here now. She'd know what to say. That night, I made my daughter's favorite dinner and we ate together, talking about her playdate and her upcoming school project. Normal life. Our life. The one we'd built from nothing. And I realized that no matter what happened with my parents, we'd be okay. We already were. 3 months passed. The business continued to grow. I stopped taking on cleaning jobs for other people and focused entirely on my products. We launched a website, started shipping nationally, got featured in some blogs about women entrepreneurs. It was surreal, honestly. A year ago, I was scrubbing other people's toilets and sleeping on a couch. Now I had employees who depended on me, inventory to manage, business decisions to make. My parents didn't try to contact me again after that visit. I heard through my cousin that things with my brother had gotten worse. He'd started bringing friends over at all hours, treating the place like a party house. His wife had quit her job, deciding to focus on content creation, which apparently meant posting photos of herself in my parents' house pretending it was hers. My father had tried to confront my brother about boundaries, and my brother had laughed in his face. I tried not to think about it. I had my own life to focus on. My daughter was thriving. She'd made friends at her new school, joined an art club, started talking about wanting to learn guitar. She barely mentioned my parents anymore. When she did, it was casual, like they were people she used to know rather than family. One evening, I was at the production space late, finishing up a batch of orders, when my phone rang. My father's number. I stared at it, debating. Let it go to voicemail like I'd done a dozen times before? But something made me answer. Dad? Tessa. His voice was rough, like he'd been crying or yelling or both. I need your help. My stomach tightened. What happened? Your brother and I got into it tonight. A real fight. He told me to get out of my own house. Said it was his now, that I signed it over when I let him move in. He's threatening to call the police on us for trespassing if we don't leave. Did you sign anything? Any paperwork? No, nothing. The house is still in my name, but he's acting like it's his. His wife's backing him up, saying we're unstable and making threats. Tessa, I don't know what to do. I'm too old for this. Your mother is scared. I closed my eyes. This was my moment, wasn't it? The moment to tell him I couldn't help, that he'd made his choices and now he had to live with them. That's what I should do, right? But I heard my grandmother's voice in my head. She used to say, being right doesn't mean being cruel. And my father, despite everything, sounded broken. Where are you now? Still in the little house. He's in the big house. We can hear them in there, laughing. Okay, don't engage with him. Don't fight. Just stay there tonight. Tomorrow, call a lawyer. The house is in your name. He can't take it. But you need proper help. Legal help. I don't know any lawyers. I'll find you someone. I'll text you a number tomorrow. But Dad, this is on you and Mom to fix. I'll help you find resources, but I can't fix your relationship with him. You need to set boundaries and stick to them. There was silence. Then, I'm sorry. For everything we put you through. I should have said that 6 months ago. I should have stopped your mother when she started down that road. I was a coward. Yeah, you were. Are we ever going to be okay again? You and me? I thought about it. Really thought about it. I don't know, Dad. Maybe someday, but not now. Now I need to focus on my daughter and my business and my life. You need to focus on standing up for yourself and Mom. I understand. And Tessa? I really am proud of what you've done. Your mother's been following your social media. We both have. Seeing you succeed, knowing you did it all without us, it makes what we did even worse, but it also makes me proud. After we hung up, I sat in my quiet production space surrounded by bottles of cleaning solution, feeling the weight of everything. I texted Riley, told her what happened. She called immediately. Are you going to get involved? She asked. I gave him a lawyer's number. That's all. The rest is on them. How do you feel? Tired. Sad. Relieved that it's not my problem anymore. Is that terrible? No. It's healthy. You set a boundary. That's good. But it didn't feel good. It felt necessary, which isn't the same thing. I found them a lawyer who dealt with family property disputes. I sent my father the information and told him to document everything. The threats, the behavior, all of it. After that, I stayed out of it. I had to. For my own peace. My cousin kept me updated. The lawyer got involved, made it clear that my parents owned the property, and my brother had no legal claim. My brother was furious. Threatened to sue them for emotional damages or some nonsense. His wife started posting things online about being betrayed by family. It was a mess. But it wasn't my mess. That was the mantra I kept repeating to myself. Not my circus, not my monkeys. I'd built my own circus, and it was going well. Still, late at night sometimes, I'd wonder if I should have done more. If I was being petty by maintaining distance. But then, I'd remember sitting in that fancy bathroom, hearing my mother call me dramatic. I'd remember the trash bags full of my clothes. I'd remember my daughter's scared face asking why our things were outside, and I'd know I'd made the right choice. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. Understanding doesn't mean acceptance. I could acknowledge my parents' regret without letting them back into my life. Those were separate things, and I was finally learning the difference. 8 months after my mother's visit, I was invited to speak at a conference for women entrepreneurs. A real conference with hundreds of people, in a hotel ballroom with a stage and everything. Riley came with me for moral support. I talked about starting from nothing, about being kicked out and finding strength I didn't know I had, about turning a family recipe into a business. When I finished, the room gave me a standing ovation. People came up afterward, sharing their stories, telling me I'd inspired them. It was surreal. Me, Tessa, who a year ago was packing clothes from trash bags, now on a stage being treated like I had something valuable to say. The business crossed $500,000 in revenue that month. After expenses and salaries, I wasn't getting rich, but I was stable, actually building something that could last. I rented a small house with a yard, 3 bedrooms, a real kitchen, a porch. My daughter cried happy tears when I showed her. We spent our first night making cookies and laughing. We planted flowers in the front yard, hung bird feeders, watched cardinals visit, building a home, a real one, together. My social media grew to almost 200,000 followers. People followed our story now, me and my daughter building a life from scratch. I kept it real, and people responded. Then one afternoon, I ran into my mother at the grocery store. Different store than usual across town. There she was in produce, examining tomatoes. We locked eyes. For a second, I thought about walking away, but I couldn't keep running forever. "Hi, Mom." "Tessa." She put down the tomato. "How are you?" "I'm good, really good, actually." "I can see that. I saw your conference talk online." "You watched it?" "Twice." Her eyes got watery. "You were incredible. I wanted to be there so badly, but I knew I couldn't." Awkward silence while people pushed carts around us. Finally, she asked, "How's my granddaughter?" "She's amazing. Growing like crazy. Wants to learn guitar now." She always was musical. My mother smiled sadly. "I miss her. I miss you both every single day." "Mom, I know you can't forgive me, but I need you to know that you were the strong one all along. Not your brother. You. You survived what would have broken most people. You built something from nothing while we enabled him into becoming someone neither of us can stand. What happened with him? The lawyer helped. We set boundaries, real ones. He pays rent now. Actual rent. Or he's out. Your father finally grew a spine." She laughed bitterly. "Only took losing his daughter to do it." "That's good. It doesn't fix what we broke with you." "No," I agreed, "it doesn't. Would you ever consider letting me see her?" "Your daughter? Maybe just for an hour, somewhere public? She's my granddaughter, and I've missed so much." I thought about it. My daughter had asked about them recently, wondered why we didn't see them anymore. I'd been vague, but I could tell she was curious. "I need to think about it. Talk to her." "That's fair." My mother wrote her number on paper from her purse. "No pressure. Whenever you're ready, if ever." We parted ways. That night, I asked my daughter if she wanted to see her grandparents sometime. Her response surprised me. "Do you want to see them?" "I asked you first." "But it matters what you want, Mama." I pulled her onto the couch. "Here's the truth. They hurt us badly, made choices that weren't fair. But they're sorry now, and sometimes people make big mistakes. I don't know if I'm ready to have them back in our lives, but I don't want you to lose your grandparents if you want to know them." She was quiet, thinking. Finally, "Can we try? Just see them once and see how it feels?" "Yeah." "Baby, we can try." So I texted my mother. We could meet at a park for an hour, just to see. She responded immediately, thanking me repeatedly. I told her not to thank me yet, that this was a test, that one wrong move and we were done. I was giving them a chance, a small one, with my eyes open, with boundaries, with the knowledge that I didn't need them. This was a gift I was choosing to give, not something owed. And if they messed it up, we'd survive. We always did. The meeting was on a Saturday at a park halfway between my house and theirs. I got there early, watched my daughter play on the swings while we waited. She seemed nervous, kept looking over for reassurance. I gave her a thumbs up, even though my stomach was in knots. They arrived on time. My father walked slower than I remembered. My mother's hair almost completely gray now. They looked older, smaller. They stood at the playground's edge, uncertain, until I waved them over. My daughter ran up, then stopped a few feet away, suddenly shy. My mother started crying immediately. My father knelt down, his knees popping, and said, "Hey there, kiddo. You got so big." "I'm almost 8 now," she said quietly. The first half hour was awkward. Stilted conversation, long silences, my mother crying every few minutes. My father's jokes didn't quite land. My daughter was polite but distant. But then my father started telling her about birds in his backyard, how he'd started keeping a journal of which ones visited. My daughter loved birds, obsessed with them since we put up our feeders. Her face lit up, and suddenly she was talking a mile a minute, asking questions, showing him photos of cardinals that came to our house. My mother watched them, smiling through tears. She turned to me. "Thank you for this. It's not easy," I said. "And Mom, this is me testing the water. This isn't everything going back to normal. That's never happening. I know. I'm just grateful for this." We sat on the bench while my father and daughter walked around the pond, him pointing out birds. It felt surreal and painful, and a tiny bit healing. "Your brother's moving out," my mother said suddenly. "The lawyer helped us draw up a rental agreement, and he refused to sign. Said we were treating him like a stranger. Your father told him that strangers respect boundaries better. They had a huge fight. He's moving to another state next month. How do you feel?" Sad, relieved, guilty, all of it. She picked at her nail polish. I enabled him for so long, made excuses, and pushed away the child who was actually there for me. I'm trying to forgive myself, but I don't think I ever will. Focus on being better going forward instead of punishing yourself for the past. She looked surprised. "When did you get so wise?" "When I had to raise myself and a kid at the same time," I said without bitterness. "Just facts. I've been going to therapy," my mother said. "Your father, too. We're trying to understand why we made the choices we made." "That's good. Really good." My daughter came running back, breathless. "Mama, Grandpa has a bird book with hundreds of birds. Can I borrow it sometime?" I looked at my father, who looked hopeful and terrified. "Maybe we can arrange that." We stayed another hour. By the end, things felt less strained. When we said goodbye, my daughter hugged them both. My father's voice cracked, saying, "See you soon, maybe?" "Maybe," I said. Non-committal, but not cruel. On the drive home, my daughter was quiet. Then, "They're different than I remember." "They are. People change. Sometimes." "Do you think they'll keep being different?" "Smart kid." "I don't know, baby. That's why we're going slow." "Are you happy we saw them?" "I'm okay with it. Are you?" She nodded. "Yeah. Grandpa's funny." And Grandma looked at me like I was the best thing she'd ever seen. That made my throat tight. That's how grandparents should look at grandkids. Over the next months, we met up a few more times. Coffee shops, parks, always public, always on my terms. They respected boundaries. They asked about my business, seemed genuinely proud. They brought my daughter small gifts, bird books, art supplies, and she warmed up to them. My father showed up at my production facility one day, unannounced, holding a manila envelope. "I'm not here to ask for anything. Just wanted to give you this." A check, a big one. "What is this?" "Your brother left damage in the house. We used his security deposit to fix it. This is that money. It's yours. It should have been yours all along. Consider it very late rent money we never should have asked for." "Dad, I don't need—" "I know you don't. You're doing incredible. But I need to give it to you. Please." I took the check. Not because I needed it, but because he needed me to take it. "Thank you." He nodded, turned to leave, then stopped. "I'm proud of you. I should have said that 100 times. I'm so damn proud of who you've become, despite us doing everything to hold you back." After he left, I stood holding that check, crying. Not sad tears. Released tears. Letting go of anger I'd carried like armor. A year and a half after everything fell apart, I stood in the yard of a house I'd just bought. Actually bought with a mortgage in my name. 4 bedrooms. A real kitchen with an island. A yard big enough for my daughter and the dog we'd adopted. A scraggly mutt with one floppy ear my daughter named Captain. Riley was there helping me move boxes, along with most of my employees who'd taken the day off. We'd become a real family, this group of women who'd fought their own battles. The business had crossed $1 million in revenue. I'd been featured in magazines, podcasts, even a documentary. My daughter was in her purple room hanging up posters, arranging stuffed animals. She'd grown so much, confident, funny, smart. She talked about starting a business someday, too. She had dreams that weren't limited by other people's limitations. My parents came by with a housewarming gift, a bird feeder my father built himself. My daughter squealed and hugged them. Our relationship was still complicated. We saw each other maybe twice a month, brief visits, always on my terms. But they'd kept going to therapy, kept respecting boundaries, kept showing up in small ways. I wasn't sure I'd ever fully forgive them. Some wounds go too deep. But I'd found something better than forgiveness. Peace. I didn't need them, which meant I could choose to have them in my life without desperation or resentment. My brother had moved to another state and we didn't talk. I'd heard his marriage was struggling, that he bounced between jobs, angry at everyone for his own failures. I felt sorry for him. He'd been set up to fail by being given everything, never learning that struggle builds character. That evening, after everyone left and my daughter slept with Captain at her feet, I sat on my porch with wine and looked at stars. I thought about where I'd been 18 months ago, homeless, heartbroken, terrified. That moment in the bathroom listening to my family plan my eviction, feeling like my world was ending. My world had ended, but I'd built a new one from the ashes. A better one, where my value wasn't determined by how much I could do for others. Where my daughter saw her mother as strong, capable. Where I had real friends, real support, real love that wasn't conditional. I recorded a video for social media. Hey everyone, Tessa here. I'm in the backyard of the house I just bought. My house. That I paid for with money from a business I built from nothing. I wanted to thank everyone following this journey. 18 months ago, I was at my lowest. My family rejected me. I was homeless with a 7-year-old, didn't know if we'd survive. But we didn't just survive. We thrived. If you're going through something similar, if someone made you feel small or worthless, hear this. They're wrong. You have value beyond what you provide others. You have strength you don't know about yet. Sometimes the worst thing becomes the catalyst for the best thing you ever do. I didn't plan any of this. Life pushed me off a cliff and I learned I could fly. Or build wings on the way down. Whatever your cliff is, trust that you have what it takes to survive. And then build something beautiful. I posted it. By morning, it had 500,000 views. Comments full of people sharing their own stories, their own cliffs, their own wings. My daughter came out in pajamas, Captain following. Why are you crying, Mama? Happy tears, baby. Reading about how brave people are. She climbed into my lap. Are we brave? The bravest, I said, kissing her head. Later, I went to my production facility and looked at everything we'd built. The shelves of products, employees working and laughing, orders being shipped everywhere. In 18 months, from mixing solution in someone's kitchen to this, a real business, a real life. I thought about my grandmother who taught me the recipe. She died without much money or recognition, but she'd given me something worth more. Knowledge, resilience, and understanding that value comes from what you build yourself, not what others give you. My phone buzzed. My mother, texting a photo of my daughter from last week, both smiling. Found this. Thought you'd want it. She's beautiful. You're doing an amazing job. I saved the photo. Responded with, thanks. We'd never be what we were before. That family was gone, broken beyond repair. But maybe we could be something new, something honest, where love existed alongside boundaries, where forgiveness wasn't required for peace. That evening, I made dinner in my new kitchen, my daughter helping while Captain begged for scraps. We ate at our table, in our house, surrounded by our things nobody could take. We talked about school, new employees starting, maybe getting Captain a friend. We talked about our future like something solid and real and ours. Because it was. Tucking my daughter into bed, she asked, Mama, are you happy now? I thought about it. Really thought. Yeah, baby, I really am. Good, she yawned. You deserve to be happy. I kissed her forehead and turned off the light. She deserved happiness too. And she was. We both were. We'd walked through fire and come out stronger, scarred but standing, broken but rebuilt. Life hadn't turned out how I'd planned, but it turned out exactly how it needed to. Standing in my daughter's doorway in our house that nobody could take, watching her sleep peacefully with our dog, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Complete. Whole. Home. We'd made it. Against everything, we'd made it. And wherever life took us next, we'd be okay. We were survivors. We were builders. We were enough. We always had been.